Hello and welcome to my Yu-Gi-Oh channel. Today we're getting some new support from the Phantasmal Sacred Beasts. These are going to be supporting directly Kagemaru's archetype and not the one that was used by Yugioh. I think they're actually trying to make this quite distinctive, and the reason for doing so is perhaps to have some separation between the two. It was said here that I would sacrifice every other soul for Youth Eternal. That was the emphasis on the Kagemaru. He's basically an old man who was the Chancellor of the Jewel Academy, and he wanted to use the energy from Jewel monsters in order to sustain himself. These are going to be introduced within Chaos Origins, which is the brand new booster set, which is going to be coming to the game relatively soon. First card is the Phantasmal Sacred Beasts of Chaos. So you've obviously had a overframe version and you also have a normal version. Keep in mind that we're not actually getting an armor tile in this. Armor tile was used by Yugioh and was not used by Kagemaru. Instead, Kagemaru's boss monsters were individually Uriah, Lord of Searing Flames, Hamon, Lord of Striking Thunder, and Raphael, Lord of Phantasms. This is a level 10 Dark Attribute Fiend Fusion effect monster called Phantasmal Sacred Beasts of Chaos. It has 5,000 attack and 5,000 defense. That makes sense. The other monsters, Hamon and Raphael, have 4,000 attack and defense, and Uriah's attack is determined on the number of continuous cards that are currently in your graveyard. Since it requires 3 continuous traps to bring it out, it's usually a minimum of 3,000 attack points, so it needs to kind of have a little bit bulkier than any of the one of the individual 3 itself. Materials are 3 level 10 monsters that cannot be normal summoned or set, so it can actually be summoned outside of these required monsters, but those also tend to be quite annoying to pair within the deck. I mean, you do have the Wicked Gods, for example. They are an option, but they're also quite restrictive to the type of deck you can run. It must either be fusion summoned or special summoned from your extra deck by sending the above cards you control to the graveyard. You can only special summon Phantasmal Sacred Beasts of Chaos once per turn this way, no matter which method you use. So you can either choose to use Polymerization to actually fuse this card out, or just by sending the above cards you control to the graveyard. I would suggest running Polymerization just so that you have an alternative version to bring this out, because otherwise it can be quite annoying to have all 3 of those out to meet this condition without your opponent trying to interact with this card already. The first effect is, first 2 times this card would be destroyed by card effects each turn, it is not destroyed. That's fantastic because that does provide you with a level of protection. The downside of this is, even though this does protect you 2 times, there are plenty of cards which are either non-targeting removal type of cards, even as old as things like Compulsory Evacuation Device. You've got the Gideon Slicer card, which is quite powerful. You've got all these manner of different cards. Ultimate Slayer is another version of a card, and a number of these also prevent things from being actually working. Forbidden Droplets is another one that can actually half the attack points of this monster. There is Lost Winds, that's another example where that can actually not only negate the effects of this card, so it will make it susceptible to being destroyed by card effects. It also halves the attack points, so it can effectively remove this card either through battle destruction or through another means of destruction. The second effect is thrice per turn and once per chain. As a quick effect, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls, negate its effects until the end of this turn, then you can gain life points equal to half its attack. This ability is quite good because you can use this 3 times in a turn and once per chain, so it does have that ability. It can be used during yours and your opponent's turn. You're constantly being able to shut down your opponent's effects whilst gaining life points, which is one of the downsides of having the archetype as it currently exists. It's usually quite costly in order to bring out all of those cards, and you're usually down to very few life points. I know there are players who will run other types of cards for life point recovery, but most of them tend to be quite limited. Outside of, I think, the continuous trap card is actually quite good for it, but it does require you to have, I think, all 3 of the Sacred Beasts out onto the field in order to use that as ability. It's like a tiered system. It has one effect based on 1, 2 for 2, and 3 for 3. I'd also say that even though it negates the effects of your opponent's monsters, a lot of players will then start switching into spell and trap based effects, especially if they see the direction of monster cards is negations tend to be up. They'll just kind of pivot to another type of thing, but it's nice as a boss monster. The first of the new Sacred Beast cards is Uriah, Lord of Searing Flames, Sacred Beast of Cataclysmic Fire. It's a level 10 fire attribute pyro type effect monster, 0 attack and defense. It's the same stat line, typing, attribute as the original Uriah, it just simply has a bit of a longer name as an extension to it. It cannot be normal summoned or set and must be special summoned with a Sacred Beast card. You can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn. So unlike the other Sacred Beasts, the original versions, they weren't defined as Sacred Beasts. It actually won't work with the old versions of the cards unless they choose to rename them and to errata them so that they are then classified as Sacred Beasts. It's that whole idea of trying to separate Kagemaru as a character from Yubel. I think that's why they're making the distinction between the two sets of cards. First ability is you can reveal this card in your hand and add 1 Sacred Beast trap from your deck to your hand, then discard 1 card. Now for this, it's a 1-for-1 type of effect. You do have to discard a card, but you get to choose any of the Sacred Beast type trap cards, and they come from your deck straight to your hand. Depending on the number of these Sacred Beast trap cards you have to look for will determine how viable this first effect is. Second ability, it gains 1000 attack and defense for each trap in the graveyards. This is a much stronger ability than the original Uriah because the original Uriah only allowed you to gain 1000 attack points for each continuous trap card specifically in your graveyard. It didn't apply to your opponents. On its initial summon, it would have probably about 3000 attack points, getting rid of 3 continuous trap cards, which in and of itself, they had to be activated, and your opponent was most likely going to get rid of them before you ever got the chance to see your Uriah. This applies to any trap card, so that can be your normal trap cards, your continuous trap cards, and your counter trap cards. Those are the 3 varieties you have, and that applies to both yours and your opponent's graveyards. So you're looking at least probably double the attack points. You're looking at 6000 plus attack points. The longer the duel, the more powerful this card becomes. And the third effect, once per turn as a quick effect, you can target 1 spell or trap card on the field, destroy it. Neither player can activate cards or effects in response to this effect's activation. With Uriah, it was only able to destroy a set spell or trap card that your opponent had. I think it had to be a trap card. It was also only applied during your turn and could not be activated during your opponent's turn. It did have the unable to be activated in response to this card's activation. I believe it was only the specific targeted card and not other cards. This is just able to go for either a spell or trap card, and it can be done consistently during yours and your opponent's turn. Hamon, Lord of Striking Thunder, Sacred Beast of Sinful Catastrophe, is a light attribute thunder effect monster. It's a level 10 with 4000 attack and 4000 defense. The same with the original Hamon, it has the same typing, level, attack and defense, and it cannot be normal summoned or set. It must be special summoned with a Sacred Beast card. You can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn. 1. You can reveal this card in your hand, add 1 Sacred Beast spell from your deck to your hand, then discard 1 card. Similar to the Uriah, which basically search for your Sacred Beast trap cards, this will be dependent on how effective your Sacred Beast spell cards are. It's still a 1-for-1 trade. You're not actually negatively impacted by that, and sometimes the card you have that's been discarded might have an effect that also activates in the graveyard, which makes it much easier to access. Second effect, one turn if a monster is sent to your opponent's graveyard, inflict 1000 damage to them. The original Hamon required you to destroy a monster in battle specifically with Hamon to do the damage. So not only did you have to destroy the monster, it had to go into the battle phase, it had to be the specific monster that attacked over that monster, and your opponent had so many ways of engaging and interacting with your Hamon, even protecting their monster before that effect can be applied. With this, provided a monster is sent to your opponent's graveyard, it's straight able to do 1000 points of damage, and it can be activated during yours and your opponent's turn, so it does activate at both stages. The third effect, if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can activate this effect. You take no damage for the rest of this turn. This is a fantastic effect because even if your opponent tries to blindside you and brings out like one of their massive boss monsters, even once they've gotten rid of this card, it's straight away able to prevent you from taking additional damage, whether that be from card effects, through burn damage, or by battle damage. That guarantees you at least the next turn to be able to recover. It does have to be destroyed by battle or card effects, so there are ways to get around this, but if it could be affected by anything, then that would be actually too much. So there did have to be some limitation to it. The third of the Sacred Beasts is Raphael, Lord of Phantasms, Sacred Beast of Endless Eternity. It's a level 10 Dark Attribute Fiend type effect monster with 4000 attack and 4000 defense. Same stat line as the original Raphael. It cannot be normal summoned or set and must be special summoned with a Sacred Beast card. You can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn. So with this, you are only able to special summon this with a Sacred Beast card itself. That's fine. I'm sure they're going to make these actually quite easy to access, otherwise they wouldn't be all requiring this same stipulation. The first ability, you can reveal this card in your hand, add one Sacred Beast monster from your deck to your hand, except Raphael, Lord of Phantasms, Sacred Beast of Endless Eternity, then discard one card. So again, this is very much the case of you're able to apply for a specific Sacred Beast monster. This does work in conjunction with the original as well, same as, you know, Uriah for traps, Hamon for spells, and this one will affect for monsters. The second ability, once per turn as a quick effect, you can attribute to other Sacred Beast monsters, destroy as many monsters your opponent controls as possible, and if you do, this card gains 1000 attack for each card destroyed by this effect. This is an upgrade of the original Raphael, because with that, you could attribute over 2 of your token-based monsters, or any of your monsters, and it would gain 1000 attack points for each card to make it a 6000 attack monster. However, with this also Raigekis your opponent's cards, your opponent's monsters. Not only are you able to just wipe out their board, you might actually be able to finish off the game by having this monster attack directly. Remember, 6,000 points of damage, it's a lot, so your opponent might not have enough to recover that. The Orchestrator of the Sacred Beasts is our next card. It's a level 8 Light Attribute Thunder effect monster. It has 2,300 attack and 3,000 defense. It notes here that Kagemaru had the creator in his deck. Originally, before I read that, I thought that does look like the creator, not only just from the look itself, it is very similar, but it has the colorations in its attack for Uriah, Hamon, and Raphael, but also the stat lineup is just, it's a mirror image of the creator. It's a level 8 Light Attribute Thunder effect monster with 2,300 attack and 3,000 defense. You can only use the first, second, and third effect of this card's name each once per turn. 1. You can reveal this card in your hand, discard one card, and if you do, special summon one Sacred Beast monster from your hand in defense position, except a level 8 monster. 2. You can discard one card, special summon one Sacred Beast monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position, except a level 8 monster or the discarded card. 3. You can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon one Sacred Beast monster from your graveyard in defense position, except a level 8 monster. So with the first ability, just by revealing this card and discarding a card, you can straight away special summon a Sacred Beast monster from your hand in defense position, except a level 8 monster, so basically except itself. You can go straight away into any of the other 3 Sacred Beast cards, but bear in mind it does have to come from the hand and it does put that monster in defense position, therefore it kind of renders it a bit useless for the duration of the turn. Second ability, just by discarding a card, you're able to special summon a Sacred Beast monster from your hand or graveyard. It also has to be in defense position. It does limit you in terms of it cannot bring a copy of itself out or the discarded card, so you do have to be careful about even what discard, and it works for situations where you need to be looking for the particular card either from the hand or if you've already previously used it in from the graveyard. Again, because it's in defense position, it can't really do anything. Third ability, just by banishing this card from the graveyard, you can then special summon a Sacred Beast monster from your graveyard. Again, this means that the situation with going into that phase isn't really going to happen this turn unless you've got something that can switch your monster into attack position by spell or trap effect, or even another monster effect. And this is useful for if this card happens to be in your graveyard, but in this case it limits you as a hard limit just to the graveyard itself. Martyr of the Sacred Beast is a level 1 Dark Attribute Fiend type effect monster with 0 attack and 0 defense. A lot of the Servant style of Sacred Beast monsters tend to have 0 attack and defense because they synergize with the continuous spell card, which is fine, it's understandable. It also being Dark Fiend means it works works actually with the original Raphael if you opted to kind of try and splash the decks together. Strongly advise against, but that's always an option. You can only use the first, second, and third effect of this card's name each once per turn. 1. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can place one Sacred Beast field spell or continuous spell or trap card from your deck face up on your field. This effect means that it's hard limiting you to only the Sacred Beast field spell, which they do have in this, and a continuous spell or trap card. I don't know whether that has to be a Sacred Beast. I think it has to be a Sacred Beast continuous spell or trap card, so you also are going to be hard limited to what you can choose. The second ability, if you control another Sacred Beast monster, you can special summon 2 Martyr of the Sacred Beast from your hand, deck, and or graveyard. This just provides 2 original copies of this card, so I don't know why you're specifically going to need them if they're not going to be used for tributes of something. Again, it would work for Raphael, the original one, because these are fiend types. It could actually bring those out. And the third ability, during your opponent's end phase, if this card and a level 10 Sacred Beast monster are in your graveyard, you can add this card to your hand, so it does have some sort of recovery to it. It's not ideal as a monster as it's just quite weak, but you know, I suppose that's one of the options you can go for. Unleashing the Sacred Beast is a normal spell card. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. 1. Add 3 Sacred Beast monsters with different names from your deck to your hand, then discard 2 cards. 2. If this card is in your graveyard except the turn it was sent there, you can banish it, add 1 at level 10 Pyro, Thunder, or Fiend monster that cannot be normal summoned or set from your deck to your hand. The first ability straight away just searches for all 3 of the Sacred Beast monsters, so you can get a copy of each. It does come at the disadvantage of discarding 2 cards, so it is a net neutral. You're searching for 3 specific cards and then using 3 cards up for the cost on this. Fine, it's straight easy access to necessary cards. Second ability, so long as it's not during the turn you've activated this card, you're just able to banish this and you can search for 1 of those 3 cards. It can apply to other monsters because it is level 10s of a Pyro, Thunder, or Fiend typing, but I don't think that's the design of the deck, and I think there are so few cards within that, it's not worth splashing within other styles of decks. Fallen Paradise of the Sacred Beasts is their new go-to field spell card. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. Thrice per turn, you can send 3 other cards of the same type, be that monster, spell, or trap, from your hand and or face-up field to the graveyard. You can special summon 1 Sacred Beast monster from your hand, deck, graveyard, banishment, and if you do, it is unaffected by your opponent's activated spell or trap effects. And 2, if you control any Sacred Beast monster whose original level is 10, you can draw 2 cards. The first effect is pretty much just the summoning condition of these 3 monsters. So, you know, typically for Raphael you would need the 3 fiend monsters, but in this case you just need monsters. For Hamon you just need, you know, the spell cards, so you can now just do that, and then trap cards, you can just go for generic traps. Nice thing about this is it actually doesn't require you to go into the specifics as well, so you could actually get rid of 3 monster cards to actually bring out Hamon or Uriah, which is kind of the opposite of what they're looking for. Hamon you could really target for monsters or traps, whereas its normal conditions is for spells, and Raphael you could go for spells or traps instead of the typical monsters that are necessary for it. The summoning is actually conducted either from the hand, the deck, graveyard, and a banishment, so that's basically anywhere you recover those cards, so that's fantastic. And it also provides your Sacred Beast with the protection from activated spell or trap effects. They can only be really targeted by monster effects. That's also quite useful. Similar to the original Fallen Paradise second ability, also the drawing of 2 cards is also what Fallen Paradise does, and it's consistent because it can be used each and every one of your turns so long as you've got a Sacred Beast out. Skyfire of the Sacred Beast is a continuous spell card. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. 1. During your main phase, you can place 2 Skyfire of the Sacred Beast from your hand, deck, and graveyard face up on your field, and you can reveal 1 level 10 Sacred Beast monster in your hand. Then you can place 1 Fallen Paradise of the Sacred Beast from your deck face up in your field zone. 2. During your opponent's end phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can add it to your hand. So this is an attempt of bringing out your Hamon ideally, because these are the continuous spell cards, your go-to cards to be useful. You're just instantly able to bring out 2 other copies of this from the hand, deck, and or graveyard straight onto the field. Fantastic, because this can be used actually for both the original Hamon and for really the new version. And then just by revealing a level 10 Sacred Beast monster, you can then then straight away put the field spell onto your field, and it just makes it really easy. And the second ability, this card can continually recover itself, so you don't actually have to run any other continuous spell cards outside of itself. That just gives you more flexibility towards it. Destruction Chant of the Sacred Beast is a normal trap card. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. One special summon one Sacred Beast monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position. Then if you control 2 or more Sacred Beast monsters whose original level is 10, you can negate the effects of one face-up card your opponent controls, and if you do, destroy it. 2. You can banish this card from your graveyard, fusion summon one Phantasm fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field. First ability just allows you to special summon a Sacred Beast monster from the hand or graveyard in defense position. This is so you can't go into some sort of OTK nonsense, and if you happen to have 2 or more Sacred Beast monsters whose original level is 10, you're able to negate the effects of a face-up card the opponent controls and destroy it. It's a good way of removing a card, and it does allow you to access your Sacred Beasts more easily. Second ability just gives you your go-to fusion polymerization style of card without you having to run dedicated polymerization. And we have the Divine Abyss of the Sacred Beast. This is a continuous trap card. You can only use the first and third effects of the card's name each once per turn. 1. During the main phase, you can place 2 Divine Abyss of the Sacred Beast from your hand, deck, and or graveyard face up on the field. So the purpose of this is you're just going to be able to get out your 3 continuous trap cards to bring out your Uriah more easily. Second effect, you can send 3 face up Divine Abyss of the Sacred Beast you control to the graveyard, including this card, then target 1 face up monster your opponent controls. Change it to face down defense position. This is quite costly given that it's just a Book of Moon style of effect, and it can only really be used kind of when necessary, so your opponent can actually make it quite difficult for you if they've got alternative backup plans. And the third ability, during your opponent's end phase, if this card is in the graveyard, you can place it on the bottom of the deck. Don't like this effect as much on the third one because then it becomes more difficult for you to recover those cards. Personally, I am a little disappointed about these cards. I think some of them are quite good. I do like the original, the new versions of the 3 beasts, but I don't think there's enough support in here to stand alone as its own deck. I think you're going to be having to run various other cards to make this at least somewhat viable. Yeah, it's a bit of a major disappointment. I'm not really that fussed on the new creator card. It's very slow and all the monsters just get put into defense position, so it's just a pain for you to have to run battle position specific cards, especially if they don't run within the same theme. I'd love to know if you think I'm being a bit too negative about this, if there's any positives you can see. Make sure to put those in the comment section down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and please feel free to subscribe and watch another video. I've got plenty of them. I'm sure you'll find something entertaining. Thank you.